All right, Fight University Podcast, Episode 1. Just got done watching UFC Fight Night, Gustafsson versus Teixeira. Pretty good card, especially for a free card. We'll take it. And want to go over a couple fights. So the first one to me that stood out in my mind was actually the very first card on the fights, the prelims, the fight past Marcin Held versus Damir Hadzovic.
Sick knockout.
Yeah.
Sick knockout.
Very good fight. Marcin Held, brought in here from Bellator. He's had 2 fights in the UFC, 2 tough fights. Fought Diego Sanchez first. After that, had Joe Lazon, real tight split decision. Real good jiu-jitsu guy, super good grappler, and controlled most of this fight, actually. Very beginning of the third round, 7 seconds into the third round, takes the knee to the dome and pretty much gets instantly KO'd. So that was a wild
KO of the year candidate.
Super wild come from behind victory, KO of the year candidate for sure. Everyone loves a good knee to the face knockout. Another good fight that I wanted to highlight on there was the co-main event, actually. Misha versus Volkan.
That was a battle royale for sure.
Yeah, Misha's he's pretty good. He's been in the UFC for a few years now. He's on he was on like a 6-fight win streak, something like that. And making a name for himself, at least. The light heavyweight division's pretty slow at the moment in the UFC. So he was actually looking pretty good. Definitely didn't look that great this fight.
Till he caught the most awkward hook from out of nowhere.
Yeah, Volkan landed a really strange hook on his, retreating away. Misha was bringing the pressure, and he, got up pretty much on the fence and landed a crazy, weird...
Right hook right behind the ear.
I didn't see what it was at first. Yeah, I didn't see what it was until they had to play the replay. That's when I figured out.
I thought it was an eye poke.
I had no clue what it was. But it was actually, it was pretty sick knockout. So I don't know how the hell Volkan's number 5 in light heavyweight right now anyways, but I guess that kind of shows you
Helps his stock, right?
The lack of depth we have here in the light heavyweight division at the moment. But the other awesome fight, though, was, of course, the main event.
That was a barn burner. Glover Teixeira, that man can take a punch.
Yeah, man. I feel like, if anything, that shows you just how strong Anthony Johnson is. The fact that he took him out, within 15 seconds, that one uppercut.
Gustafsson that guy just kept coming and coming every single round, and Glover just stood there and took it. It was absolutely amazing. Barn burner.
Yeah, he put on a real striking clinic. Glover got him down for a second in the first, but other than that, Alexander was just piecing him up.
Takedown.
Just piecing him up the whole fight, landing that constant right uppercut, jab, right uppercut.
Can we talk about that uppercut? Jesus Christ.
He landed it over and over again with
on just without, any resistance on will. That uppercut was there every single time.
Yeah, he's in a weird situation in the light heavyweight division because he's definitely the top 3 guy outside of, DC Jones, and I guess you could kind of say, Anthony Johnson, but with Johnson out of the picture, he's had a real close title fight with Jones and a real close title fight with DC.
Interesting to see the winner of John Jones DC, see if he gets them next.
Yeah,
maybe.
We'll see. I'm thinking that's what's going to happen, but they keep trying to promote Jimmy Manuwa at the same time, and
that would be a very interesting matchup.
Manuwa got starched by, Gustafsson a few years ago, and Manuwa's just not... He doesn't have the takedown defense for either of those guys. He's going to get tooled up. He's, started pretty late in his career, but he's just it doesn't stand a chance, I feel like, against either of those guys. It's not going to be a good fight.
I still am campaigning Gokhan Saki and Jimmy Manuwa.
Yeah, no, a little too early, but I definitely think, with Gokhan being new addition to the light heavyweight division.
Strap up your wrestling shoes, boys.
Like everyone's saying, yeah, everyone's going to be wrestling a whole lot more with him, that's for sure. But I don't think UFC is going to be dumb and give him that kind of bad matchup right away. I think it'll be pretty smart and try to promote him the right way, give him some strikers that see if he can get some highlight reel knockouts maybe. But
where do you think Teixeira goes after this fight?
I don't know. Actually, that's a real good question. Because I mean, if you want my honest opinion, he needs to move to an actual camp. He needs to get out of fucking Connecticut for all of his camps. I know he used to train a little bit. A little bit down. I think he had a camp in Coconut Creek at ATT. I think maybe a couple times, but it's just staying in Connecticut where he's at. You're not going to get people who are challenging you on a daily basis like you would at a real camp.
The right training partners.
I mean, I guess some people have that philosophy of being the best guy and having a camp kind of focused around them. I mean, Stipe is the champ, and he's not in a big name camp. He trains out of Cleveland, and he's not in a big name camp. But I feel like overall, you really need a good camp with some, good sparring partners and competition at the end of the day if you want to be taken seriously. But, who knows? He's just kind of in a weird spot because he's in that top 5, but he can't beat the best in that division. He just can't. I mean, he can take out those kind of gatekeeper type guys, but he's not going to be
he's that guy that just stays at the top.
He's kind of being himself the gatekeeper at this point, and he was definitely brought on and marketed to be this guy who's going to take out John Jones, and he put up a good fight, but I mean, he was just not ready at all. He's too old at this point, I feel like, and just too much on him. He's 37. He's had a long career. It'd be awesome if he got into the UFC a little sooner.
Yeah. Well, shouts to Alexander Gustafsson for the walk-off KO.
Oh, yeah. That was sick. That was a real sick KO. That was a good fight. I mean, he pieced him up pretty well. And, I mean, shit, looked like a lightweight doing it. Moved real well for a big guy.
And the hometown went wild.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, online, I saw, and some people, were talking about him running away. But, I mean, really, he controlled that whole fight. He's staying out, Glover needs to cut the distance. He did a few occasions and caught him with a couple left hooks as he was circling out. But, Gustafsson's playing his fight. He's trying to get the circle, the center of the cage and not stand against the sides while he's going to get teed up with Glover, backing him into a corner. I thought it was a real smart move by Alexander at that point.
Yeah, I was definitely getting bothered with the running, but I understand why he definitely did not want to get backed into the cage with Glover Teixeira. That is for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, then it's the same. It looked like Conor McGregor versus Diaz too, pretty much. That Conor is doing the same thing the whole time.
The running man challenge.
That's what it was, though. He's trying
to get back to the center of the ring.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to get there against the cage because he knows that's his opponent's probably strategy. Back him up against the cage, kind of work the body, and at least you control that distance at that point. Where someone like Alexander's got massive reach on Glover. You saw him poke him in the eyes a few times with that lead palm on the head that John Jones does a lot, kind of bullying like a older brother to a little brother,
right,
keeping that distance, showing your range.
Type.
But yeah, you saw him poke him in the eyes a couple times with that. But I mean, that's the only way Glover's going to be able to cut that distance is get him to the cage and actually cut the cage off instead of keep going straight. He kept going straight the whole time, and the very rare occasion where he went laterally and cut off the angle. He caught him with a couple left hooks, but it was pretty rare in this fight.
Very interesting. What a fight, though. That was.
It was a very good fight.
Definitely entertaining.
It'd be interesting to see where Alexander goes from here, especially just with the current light heavyweight division, how it is. There's not a whole lot going on, and I think
he's pretty much fought everybody.
He's a pretty clear number 3, I think, behind just Jones and DC. Being 1 and 2 in the world. That's really going to be interesting to see what happens, I guess, this summer when that fight goes down.
That's what the whole division is hanging on right now, really. I mean, is that fight to go down to really see, I mean, I think John's going to take it.
Yeah, I mean.
But who knows?
If John looks like he did, in that OSP fight, who knows? You're right. But then again, I could say DC hasn't looked his best in the last, couple performances he's had as well.
I feel if you catch a kick like you did in that Anthony Johnson fight from John Jones, you're going to sleep, my friend. I mean, Anthony Johnson is no joke, but I just feel that if he gets caught slipping like that by John Jones, it's going to be game over.
See, I don't think it's going to be that necessarily because Anthony Johnson's got way more fucking power than John Jones. John Jones is not going to get a flash knockout on you. He's just going to piece you up the whole fight and, take you down little by little. But It just depends. If he has those kind of openings, in that John Jones fight. If John Jones fights like John Jones, then he'll be fine, in my opinion. I think he'll be straight. But it's just a matter of, does he come back like the John Jones of the old days? We're yet to see that.
Before the steroids.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah, who knows? That's definitely it's a little questionable, but who knows? I'm not going to sit here and accuse.
He's on
anyone.
Cialis now, bro. He's good.
Yeah, apparently that's what he said in his last interview. So no more funny dick pills. Cialis for him.
Keep him out of trouble.
Let's see. This last week, Jermaine Durandamy's manager came out and said that she's not going to fight Cyborg and does not want to fight against a known cheater. And is not going to take that fight. She's willing to see if the UFC is going to strip her of her belt before she makes her next move. What do you think about that?
I think if you're the champion, I think you have to fight whoever they throw at you, especially in a division that is as thin as the women's 145-pound division is right now. That's about the only fight you got right now.
I mean, they made that division for Cyborg. That fight, the first initial title fight was meant for Cyborg, and it was offered to her, and she did turn it down for what she said she wanted to get some rest and want a quote unquote off season. But it doesn't really work like that way all the time in the UFC. Sometimes you get offered that fight, you got to take it, and now she's in a real shitty position, and I think UFC is super regretting the fact that they made that decision in the first place. Making that Holly Holm versus, Jermaine Durandamy fight backfired in their face like no other.
Yeah, I personally thought Holly walked away with that fight. You can't leave it up to the judges though. But no. If you're not gonna fight Cyborg, it's time to give up the belt, and they got to find somebody for Cyborg. Whether it be Holly Holm, which I don't know if that necessarily would be the right matchup, or if they get somebody else in there. That needs to be the next fight for the championship. Cyborg definitely needs to be in it because that woman is a beast, and she's definitely the best women's MMA fighter at the moment. Unless you can think of anybody else.
She's definitely the scariest, that's for sure. I mean, she's
Vanderlei in a dress.
Yeah, I don't. You said it, not me. She takes out people worse than any other woman. That's for sure. She knocks them dead, but there's not a whole lot of people that are willing to fight her, and if they are, it's not really their natural weight class too. At the same time, it's I like Joanna Jędrzejczyk at least for the fact that she does dominate these women who this is their natural weight class for the most part. Joanna's a 125er. That's the division she fought in Muay Thai a lot as well, and wanted that division for a while. I think once it comes around after this Ultimate Fighter that you'll see her fight in that and probably dominate that division as well. But it's just different. I mean, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, she's small, so she's not knocking people out with one shot. Cyborg's kind of monstrous compared to all the other women she's fighting. She at least, you see the face-off between her and Megan Anderson. She looks about the same size, roughly, but she's going to beat the shit out of Megan Anderson. Her striking is just, she's huge. I mean, this chick is she's freak. A beast. But she's super good. Don't get me wrong. She's really good. I just think it's kind of a joke that, Jermaine Durandamy knew that this fight was the next fight. You
had to have known.
This fight was for Cyborg initially. I just think it's crazy how the UFC definitely expected Holly to come out of that fight, and really probably should have come out of that fight with a victory. Those two late punches from GDR was pretty fucked up, and
I forgot
didn't get the point taken away. That definitely was a pretty
Super
big game
bullshit.
changer. I think Holly would have won that fight, and they would have done Holly versus Cyborg, but that did not work out as planned, obviously.
Can't leave it to the judges, damn it.
It just happens to work out that way. But another thing, let's say we got next week coming up, week from yesterday, UFC 212, Aldo versus Holloway is the main event. What do you think of that card?
Oh, man. I think it is going to be a packed night, my friend. I think we've got let's talk about the Rafael Assunção fight. I mean, I think Marlon Morales, Rafael Assunção, I think that is going to be a banger right there. Assunção, he is a wizard on the feet. Jiu-jitsu game, strong as well. What do you think?
Yeah, that's going to be a real good fight. It's Marlon's first fight here in the UFC, And, he's been making his debut. He's on, I think like a 13-fight win streak. He hasn't lost in, I think, 6 years, something like that. Of course, the level of competition is a little lower, being outside of the UFC. But, I mean, he's finished people in pretty awesome fashion in most of his fights as well. He's a real good contender there at bantamweight. Need more people. That bantamweight division's getting pretty stacked now. I remember a few years back it was looking pretty bleak. At the moment, that division's definitely one of the hottest divisions out there. A lot of top contenders. And this fight's definitely going to be, seeing if Marlon is the real deal, seeing if he's meant for the UFC. Rafael Assunção's no joke, and
not an easy opponent at all.
Got a win over TJ Dillashaw. Controversial decision to say the least. Yes, TJ got him on that second fight at UFC 200, but he's a very good fighter, and that's going to be a very entertaining fight. It's going to be a good fight to lead into the pay-per-view. Another interesting fight we got on there actually is the one that's going to lead off the pay-per-view, Eric Silva versus Yancy Medeiros. Eric Silva, I remember, was once taught to be the up-and-comer. He was going to be the next big thing at welterweight. I think USADA might have played a little role into his decline.
Lost his sauce.
But he's had some real tough fights. Been in there, fought some real tough competition. Has not had the easiest route at welterweight as well. Taking a look at some of his losses.
Magny.
John Fitch. Dongwon Kim, Matt Brown, Neil Magny. He's fought some serious dudes. Hasn't really had too many easy fights in here, but see if he can get back to his old ways of kind of scaring the welterweight division. We'll see about that. Another couple good fights. Really, the main three. The Vitor Belfort fight is entertaining for the sole purpose, in my opinion, that Vitor said after this fight is he will not be fighting for the UFC anymore. This is the last fight on his contract, and he wants to go elsewhere. What do you think about that?
I think if Bellator can snag, because that's really the only other.
Or Ryzen, go to Japan.
Yeah, he does have a huge following in Japan. He could go out there. I think seeing him in any other organization would be very interesting, and especially to see how much money he gets. People are switching over or are running out their contracts now more than ever. Especially this year, I feel like there's, with Gegard running out his contract.
Oh, definitely. The free agent market's a big one.
It's Bellator, and Bellator is snagging him. He's Rory, Lorenz Larkin. They're snagging some big fucking names. So somebody like Vitor would just be another one on the list, man. And I think it's good for the fighters. I think it's going to get them more money in the long run. I think it kind of sucks that maybe the best fighters won't be competing against each other because they'll be in different divisions. But there's going to be thick competition in both Bellator and UFC, no matter what. But I think in the long run, it's going to be great for the fighters. It's going to get them more money. But I'd be interested to see what he does, whether he goes to Bellator or whether, like you said, he might try out Ryzen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Go to Japan, get on some juice, get back to the TRT tour days, and
just wrecking people,
wreak havoc,
wrecking people.
I definitely think TRT tour was the scariest individual probably to ever fight in the UFC. Definitely think that if that was still allowed nowadays, we'd be singing.
Had veins coming out of his eyeballs.
We'd be singing a much different tune about Vitor. But he does not come cheap. He comes at a big price, so it'll be interesting to see if he goes to Bellator or if he does go to Japan. Would not be surprised to see him go to Bellator. Bellator's definitely picked up a lot of big names this
Viacom money.
Yeah, they picked up some big names this last week. They picked up Roy Nelson, and Roy Nelson's a little past his prime, a little punchy at this point, but he's still a big
draw, always
big name,
big draw,
big name to say the least. And Bellator's heavyweight division's pretty terrible at the moment. So big signings with Mitrione and Roy Nelson though. So getting some of UFC old fighters is going to help them greatly expand their division. Rory came over and is definitely the best free agent, in my opinion, to go over there. And I think his debut against Paul Daly was a perfect display of,
Very impressive.
of just what he's capable of. He barely got touched against Paul Daly, and Paul Daly's had some tough fights with their champions. So I think this is really showing that Rory may just be that guy that's a level above these guys.
I think he takes the belt in his next fight, and I think it is going to take a bulldozer to get that belt away from him. I think as long as Rory stays with Bellator and they don't sign anybody crazy, I think that guy is. I mean, I think even if he stayed in the UFC, he could fight his way back to a championship. I mean, the guy is absolutely a monster. He looked flawless against Daly. I mean, like you said, didn't even get touched.
I mean,
Yeah.
Rory beat the champion in the UFC right now. He destroyed Tyron Woodley. I mean,
Picked him apart.
not even beat him, but tore him apart. And also is the last guy to beat Damian Maia, the guy who should be next in line for the UFC belt. So Rory's no joke, and he had some tough, real close fights against Robbie Lawler, where he almost finished Robbie, and just had not a very great performance against Stephen Thompson. But then again, not many people have had great performances against Stephen Thompson. So, I think he came back too soon with his nose in that Stephen Thompson fight. And now that he gives time to heal, showed his real potential of who he is and that he is the future of this sport in a lot of ways.
Well, he had some type of surgery on his nose, right? I mean, it was smashed
during
that Robbie Lawler fight.
During that Robbie Lawler fight, it was just so beat to shit that he admitted himself in interviews. He said that he had gone to sparring way too early afterwards, and that it just kept reopening and just kept busting it open in training. And during that Wonder Boy fight, he just wanted to get back in there so badly. Just didn't let it heal, and letting it heal this time before he goes back into the ring, like he did against the Paul Daly fight, let him get that opportunity to finally make sure it's all right, make sure it's not going to give him any trouble, and I think he performed pretty flawlessly in that fight.
Man, I've been popped in the nose in sparring before, and that shit hurts. So I could not even imagine taking a right hand from somebody like Robbie Lawler. Yeah. But, Rory McDonald is a beast. That is for sure.
Back to that UFC 212 card, the co-main event, Claudia Gadelha versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz.
First off, does Karolina not look like the nicest girl ever?
Yeah.
Does she just not look like the most innocent, nice European girl ever? I can't believe she's a fighter. She's so nice. I couldn't imagine her punching anybody.
Yeah, she's a savage. She's a real good striker.
Serious savage.
So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see what happens. What's your opinion on this fight? Who do you think takes it?
I think it's going to be a barn burner, man, for real. And I think that Claudia is. She's a monster as well. She's definitely got hands and sick ground game. Karolina is, in my opinion, the better striker. I think if they can stay on their feet, I think Karolina takes it. I think she stays on the outside, and I think she picks Claudia apart. If Claudia is successful with her takedowns, it could go either way. Who knows? But I think Karolina is going to take it. Maybe I'm just biased because like I said, I think she's so nice, but Claudia is nothing to gawk at.
Being a 3-round fight is the only thing that I have a problem with in this situation, just because Claudia is so strong in those first and second rounds.
Going to come hard.
I think it's going to be hard to keep her off you. If there's a 5-round fight, I think she tires, and we saw that in the Ioana and Jacek fight, that she tires in those later rounds and can be taken advantage of. But it being a 3-round fight, I think it definitely favors Claudia in this situation. I'm going to give it to her by decision, just grinding out too many takedowns and keeping Karolina on the ground. I definitely think that Karolina has that ability to keep it standing, and if she does, I think she'll be able to.
That girl's got hands.
I think she'll be able to work her way, into those better positions than Claudia will. But being a 3-round fight, I definitely got to give that edge a little bit to Claudia Gadelha with just being how strong she is, how great she is at taking people down and just maintaining that pressure. I think she kind of controls the pace and puts it on her a little bit.
I got 5 on it.
It sucks that there's no Anderson Silva for this card because this main card is a little weak.
Little lacking.
A little weak. I'm glad for this Aldo Holloway fight. I've wanted to see this for a long ass time, but the fact that there's no Silva versus Gastelum just because of that stupid bullshit weed that was in Gastelum, apparently he failed for and had some marijuana metabolites from last fight. So they overturned his victory, as ridiculous as that is, and he was given a provisional suspension, I think, so he was not able to get it on this card. Pretty fucking ridiculous. And now there's no big fights really other than those kind of main two. I mean, we've got the Vitor who's out of his prime, and we got Nate who's definitely been fighting a little past his prime, and so we're kind of stuck with just two pretty good fights in the at the top of this card. The Jose Aldo one's definitely an awesome fight, but we could have had some more, definitely bigger names on this card. Do want to get to that Jose Aldo fight though. What's your opinion on Aldo Holloway? How's it go down?
Max Holloway is a young guy, and I mean, he is on a streak right now. 10 fights in a row. He is. I love watching this guy. I remember when he first came into the UFC. I thought he was so entertaining to watch. Jose Aldo, obviously, is somebody who's been at the top of the game for 10 plus years now. Minus Conor McGregor, not really too many flaws in his game, so I think it's gonna be a great matchup. I think Max Holloway. I think hopefully I want to see Max win. I like Max. I like what he stands for. I like his whole Hawaiian vibe. So I really want to see him win. I think Jose's great. I'm a fan of Jose, but you're getting old, buddy. You're getting old, man.
I mean, not really. He's
just been in the game for so long.
He's like 29, I think.
Yeah,
30. He's 30 years old.
He's just been in the game for so long. It seems like he's so much older. He's been fighting since he was like what? I guess like 18. So
he does.
It's like, yeah.
He does have some damage. That's for sure.
He's been in some
good
wars.
Some good punches.
I just want to see. I want to see Max walk away.
How do you think it goes down?
I think it's going to be a stand-up battle. I don't see it going to the ground too much. Personally, I think they're going to stand and bang the whole time. I think it's going to go to decision. I don't see Max Holloway. I don't see him knocking Jose Aldo out. I can't see that. I think Max is going to win by decision, for sure.
What? How many rounds?
5 rounds. Of
course, it's a 5-round fight.
Max is just going to stand up and bang the whole time, and Jose, like I said, I don't see him taking him down.
What? 2 rounds? 3 rounds to 2, 4 rounds to 1.
Oh, 3 rounds to 2. I'm sorry.
You think Max takes it 3 to 2?
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be a close fight. I think there's going to be one round in there that is going to be debated. You know how there's always that one round where it's like, I think Jose, no, I think Max. There's going to be one of those in there, but I think Max takes it 3 rounds to 2.
Man,
for sure.
Good luck winning a decision in Brazil. I don't know about that, but, we'll see.
Right. I didn't even take that into account, but we'll see, yeah.
It'll be interesting. I mean, Max is, like you said, real tough kid on a, long-ass win streak. Last fight that he lost was against Conor McGregor. Had a strange fight in that fight. He was real young though. He's fought completely different since then. He's got all the potential to beat Jose Aldo, I believe. But it's gonna be interesting. We've only seen Jose Aldo look vulnerable to really Conor McGregor. He's had those small moments I can think of a couple fights. Maybe in the 5th round of a couple of fights in particular. But other than that, he really hasn't struggled most of his fights. That Chad Mendes fight was a real tough one in 179. Hominick had him real tough in the 5th round. But that's about it. He's pretty much dominated the rest of those fights. And Frankie Edgar even he's picked him apart, and he had 2 real tough fights that everyone thought Frankie could be that guy to maybe take him out, and showed Frankie that he's still the man. So it's gonna be real interesting. See if Jose Aldo ends up picking Max apart with those leg kicks, or if Max comes out and puts it on him like he did Pettis.
It is going to be a great fight to watch. I'm so excited for this card. I've been waiting for this fight for a long time, so I'm definitely going to be on the edge of my seat when I'm watching this one.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a real good fight. Well, I think that's going to be it for this week's edition of Fight University. I'm Ryan.
I'm Connor.
And we're out.